A lot of people, I don't know if they've been paying attention today with the leak.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to pull that up and play it for people that haven't maybe heard it yet, and just so we could talk about that, because I thought that was really revealing. And also, I'm interested in who leaked it. Like, was it the Biden team that leaked it, to try to, dampen people's, spirits, or like dampen the defund the police calls? Or was it like one of the civil rights leaders that leaked it to try to expose it? That's an interesting question that I don't know the answer to, but we can play this. This is again leaked audio from a Biden Zoom call with civil rights leaders, where he says some pretty interesting stuff.
And so there's some things that I'm going to be able to do by executive order. I'm not going to hesitate to do it. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to do what Benita, you probably used to get angry with me during the debates, when you'd have some of the people you were supporting say, on day one, I'm going to executive order to do this. Not within the constitutional authority. I am not going to violate the Constitution. Executive authority that my progressive friends talk about is way beyond the bounds. And as one of you said, maybe you, Reverend now, whether it's far left or far right, there is a Constitution. It's our only hope. Our only hope. And the way to deal with it is, where I have executive authority, I will use it to undo every single damn thing this guy has done by executive authority. But I'm not going to exercise executive authority where it's questioned, where I can come along and say, I can do away with assault weapons. There's no executive authority to do away with that. And no one's fought harder to get rid of assault weapons than me. But you can't do it by executive order. If you do that, next guy comes along and says, well, guess what? By executive order, I'm going to say everybody can own machine guns again.
And there's some more of it, too, we can play in a little bit. But, yeah.
He basically blames his loss on the defund the police movement later on in the clip. But, yeah, Ashley.
And also, I just thought it was really striking, too. Sorry, I'll stop sharing that. But that, Biden comes across the most cognitively there. He comes across in his most commanding, when he's basically just like shitting all over the left and, being like, fuck, I can't do it. I'm not going to do anything like progressive, anything that could help people. There, he's very forceful. It's when he's, trying, it's very obvious when he's lying, I guess is what I'm saying. He stutters over himself. He's not commanding or charismatic. He just kind of bumbles his way through it. And that was very, I believed him there.
Yeah, it's amazing when that stutter comes and goes with Biden. It's a couple of things that I've heard so many different clips, and every single clip I hear gets worse. The utter disdain that Biden seems to have for Black people is really
stark,
appalling. And the utter disdain and dislike that he has for people on his left, be they Black, white, indigenous, or other people of color, he is not, there is no pushing him left, and it is obvious. And the way that he was talking to them, and some people were saying, oh, well, he wasn't really talking down to them and being negative.
Dude, it was so obviously disrespectful. It was disrespectful as fuck. I'm a nobody, not an accomplished person like these individuals, and I would be like, who the fuck are you talking to like that, pal?
Like that. And especially after you've had the George Bush years and the Trump years, I never, ever want to hear from another Democratic president or any Democrat in power say what they cannot do. After the George Bush had so many bad executive orders, they call it the Bush Doctrine.
Then Obama went ahead and continued too. Like it wasn't like he morally objected to them.
No, he just kept going. Trump's been running through the White House and doing all kind of things like he's like a Tomb Raider character and doing whatever he wants to do. Joe Biden is bringing up this Constitution as if that's really going to stop a president, because he can do it and he could challenge them and they would have to take him to court. There is no, oh, well, what can I do as far as the Constitution? We clearly see that presidents and executive orders, because the executive powers have been massively expanded between Bush and Obama, how much power they really have. And as a president, one thing he can absolutely do immediately would be to cancel student loans. That is one thing he can absolutely do. There's a lot of things he can do. I say do everything you can until someone takes you to court and tells you that you can't do that. Just do it until
FDR style.
Just do that. Trump, had a moratorium on evictions for a hot minute through the CDC. He can do that. And he can just dare the Senate and dare SCOTUS and Congress to do something. And, you know, a part of me, I genuinely want Democrats to win Georgia and take over the Senate.
Yeah, can we get your take on that? Do you think that has any real fucking chance of happening? Because I'm not so sure.
I mean, it seems as if Osif or Osef, however you say his name, is doing everything to lose. Because when you say, do you support the Green New Deal? No. Do you support Medicare for all? No. Do you support canceling student debt? No. Do you support another state? Everything is no.
Except for $15 minimum wage, which he brings up every single fucking day.
And
which is not nothing, but it's just not enough right now.
I'm sorry, $15 minimum wage was okay when we were arguing about that in 2012, maybe even 2016. It's gone beyond that. The minimum wage needs to be tied to inflation. At this point, I don't think the minimum wage should be anything less than, I would like to start it at $25. It should be higher than that. But if you cannot live, whatever it takes to live federally, you can just do it across the board. Then that's how much the minimum wage should be. Especially the minimum wage has not been raised since George Bush is a travesty. And when people say, oh, well, if we raise the minimum wage and inflation is going up, well, inflation's been going up. The cost of a gallon of milk has gone up regardless. Things are going up anyway.
They used to say that was why we had to stay on the gold standard. That was why they, back in the 1890s, when there was this initial populist movement that we've kind of, almost like historically repeated, right? The 1890, the Kansas populists, but also William Jennings Bryan and the Democratic parties, they were running this whole thing on free silver, which was essentially to move us off of the gold standard because the inflation was killing, or not inverted inflation, right? That there was dollar scarcity, right? There weren't enough dollars in circulation. So it's this kind of like exact issue that we're having now. Whereas like they're saying, oh, if you do this thing that will actually be beneficial to the people, it's going to spam inflation. And of course, later in 1971, Richard Nixon, a Republican, took us off the gold standard anyway. And, of course, nothing happened.
Been off of it again. It's amazing how Congress can come together and pass any and everything that benefits corporations and the military industrial complex. But as soon as it's something that's helping the people, it's like, well, the Republicans, they're not going to work with that. You know what they could have done? They could have said, Congress could have said, we are not, all the Democrats in Congress and in the Senate, because Democrats control the House right now. They could have just said, we're not going to pass anything at all. And we're willing to shut down this government until we have another package that is going to bail the American people out. They can come together and just continue to fund the Pentagon and the military industrial complex by billions of dollars. But you mean to tell me that you can't lift people out of a situation right now during COVID? You mean to tell me you can't cancel student loans?
They were pumping $1 trillion a day into the Federal Reserve,
And especially the pandemic is worse right now than it ever was when it started. Like when we actually got stimulus checks, when people were actually getting hazard pay, like that was when the cases were actually pretty comparatively low to right now, where it's totally out of control. So yeah, it's
300,000 deaths.
We talk about the minimum wage, but it's like everyone should be literally getting hazard pay right now, regardless of your job. If you're going outside at all, like if you're working at fucking Whole Foods, like, and you're only getting paid $15 an hour, like that's not enough because you're literally exposing yourself to people that probably have COVID. Like there's no way that that's not happening.
Yeah, and one of the bills they're trying to pass now when it comes to the new stimulus is protecting companies and corporations from employees being able to sue them with having them work under unsafe conditions. I think everyone should get hazard pay. Honestly, I don't care if you're working from home. You should get hazard pay too, because a lot of people aren't thinking about how this is affecting. I've been working from home, full disclosure, since this started. It has done something to me mentally to be in the house all day, every day. I've only gone to see my mom when she had a health scare, had a health situation, and I had to drive to go see her. I haven't seen a lot of my friends. I'm not seeing people because I just really don't want to take that chance. But to be home in my house all day, every day, and I'm not trying to seem as if, and I know some essential workers are like, well, I'm having to go to work. I'm still a working class person. Everybody that is working from home, all of us are not making we're not all tech people making a lot of money. Some of us are customer service reps. Some of us are IT reps.
Yeah, that's what I do to pay the bills. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Some people are administrative assistants for all kind of different things, and they're just able to do things at home because their job at their workplace was just computer based. But you cannot tell me that this is not affecting a lot of people's mental health, and that is not affecting their physical health on top of that too. Everyone should have hazard pay because we are in a pandemic and people are dying and people are getting sick. And then there seems to be no plan further down the line to help people continue to deal with the after effects of COVID, both mentally and physically. And there doesn't seem to be a plan even to just get out of this. Like, this man has, like, he has no plan. And it wasn't
not Donald Trump.
Yeah, and it wasn't just me who said this, but there was myself and a couple of people on the left who immediately started criticizing Biden because he either had a lack of plan or his plans were crap. And we started making comments like, this is the guy that y'all said we had to vote for because he was better than Trump. And we had so many other options. And it turns out he's not that much better than Trump. And I'm trying to laugh to not cry, but I don't see the big difference between the two. And then I'm seeing things like, oh, well, we're getting more women in positions of power and we're getting more LGBT people in positions of power and we're getting Black, Indigenous people of color and people of power. And as I've said before, and I'll keep saying, I'm not a child. I don't care if you have a person who looks like me in power to represent me if their representation isn't going to give material benefits for someone like me. Oh, Biden's going to have more progressives and all this people in his administration. I haven't seen him name a working person. I haven't seen him name any teachers to any positions of power. And they said, well, what could people do, if they're in power? I mean, I don't know, but I would nominate somebody to be education secretary who was a former teacher, who has roots in organizing with teachers. We had all these teacher strikes. Somebody could be doing that. Maybe somebody that has worked in local and city government when it comes to housing, making sure that people have guaranteed housing and working on plans like that. Maybe they should be head of HUD.